Welcome to another mobile edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. Guys and girls, I'm a retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years of law enforcement. If you like all things true crime related from the police and detective perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload another video. And today, I just want to talk to you briefly. I'm not going to go into a full coverage on a missing 19-year-old Dylan Rounds. This case comes to me on DutyRon.com and also from the many users and viewers of YouTube like yourselves, sending in messages to DutyRon.com, sending me messages on Facebook and all the different social media platforms. That's what makes this a great place, is that you, the viewers, are interactive with me, the live streamer and content creator, and you guys have sent me so many messages. I received just dozens and dozens of messages from folks like yourself asking me to cover this case. So this is something that is, again, right up the alley. Equusearch. I talked to already Twila and Dave about this case. Dylan Rounds, a 19-year-old young man who was running a farm, his grandfather's farm, on the border of Nevada and Utah. Last communication was over the Memorial Day weekend on Saturday, May 28th, with his grandmother. He expressed a urgency for him to get his seed out of the rain. He wanted to get it into the ground, but he was trying to put it into one of the shelters or coverage, like a shed, so his seed for planting wouldn't be ruined. And that was May 28th, Saturday morning. And I had an opportunity to speak to his mom on the phone last night. So I spoke to mom last night for about an hour, and she gave me a little overview of this case. And, there's so many moving parts to it. There's so much sketchiness to that actual location where he's doing his farming. He's been doing this for 3 years, and everybody told him, no, you're never going to get anything to grow because it's such a remote area. It's such a dry, deserty kind of area. But he was defying all the odds. And by all accounts, he pretty much kept to himself. He was a hardworking farmer, and he had a lot of things that he did that were calculated, and a lot of his moves and communications was continuous. So I had the conversation with his mom. And like I said, Candus Cooley, who is Dylan's mom, she conveyed the message to me that, there's a lot of things that are happening and there's a lot of things that aren't happening. So I'm going to have her join me tomorrow night. That's Tuesday. I'm going to have her join me tomorrow night to tell you guys the story. Rather than to have me tell you the story, I'm going to have Dylan's mom. She is on social media. She's been given some great interviews. She was on East Idaho News with Nate Eaton. Now, if you guys don't know Nate Eaton, you should go and get yourself familiarized with him. But most of us do know Nate Eaton. He has covered the JJ and Tylee Ryan case with Chad Daybell and Lori Shallow Vallow. Nate is the reporter who took a flight to Hawaii and confronted the Daybells. He also hired his own helicopter to hover over the farm and over the pet cemetery where the children were buried. So for those of you who don't know Nate Eaton, you should get to know him. I will share his video down in the description, but I have a short piece of news, a little news clip from yesterday. I'd like you guys to listen to it, and then I'm going to play a little piece from Nate Eaton's interview with the mom, Candus Cooley. There's been a couple of one really big YouTube channel that did helicopter searches in that desert area around the farm. And now I tip my cap to them, and I'll make mention of them in a little bit. But Josh, if you could play that little piece, it's only about 2 minutes long. I'd like to play it for the audience so everybody can get a good idea of what we're talking about. We'll go full screen with that. There you go.
We begin tonight with a story that we have covered recently about a missing man from Lucin, Utah, in Box Elder County.
His parents say he was excited to start farming in northwest Utah, but after he planted his crop, he went missing, and now they suspect foul play.
As Fox 13 reporter Brian Champagne explains, things are picking up in their search for clues.
Each one of these areas that are in here have been given searchers, and these searchers are going to track where they've been and then report back to us.
This is the search map for Elko County Search and Rescue, and this is what the area looks like where deputies last picked up information on 19-year-old Dylan Round's whereabouts.
There were cell phone pings on May 28th that indicated that Dylan was, at least Dylan's phone was located in the Lucin area of Utah.
Deputies later found Dylan's boots and pickup.
We were allowed to take the pickup home. We have the pickup. So anything that could have been pulled off the pickup, as far as the way the pickup records stuff, it may be gone because it hasn't been treated. We feel, and well, we know, Utah is still treating it as a simple missing persons case.
Candus says at first she was frustrated with the law enforcement response, but there was a lot more going on today. Box Elder deputies from Utah are out searching, and on the Nevada side, Elko deputies are following up on leads.
There's conflicting information, so we're trying to vet all the information to find out what is rumors and also what it would be actual factual. We're trying to get down to the facts.
And volunteers are searching or feeding searchers.
This is something that I do. I like to be charitable. When people need help, I think people need to step up.
Dylan's parents are holding up by focusing on the search.
That's got to be our focus, because if you break down in the middle of this, your focus becomes your emotions. And when your emotions take over, you're not logical. And if you're not logical, precise, and going off of facts, we are no good to helping find Dylan.
Brian Champagne, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And, you know, what a strong woman Dylan's mom is. You heard her speak there. So, you know, so forcefully and so straight and right to the point. If you're not dealing with facts and you're not dealing with evidence that is pertaining to the case, you're wasting your time. And now this is a mom who is not a trained searcher or a trained investigator, but because her son vanished off the face of the earth and vanished off the map, she was forced into becoming a searcher and an investigator. And, you know, I had the conversation with her last night, and she conveyed to me her frustration with some of the law enforcement branches in that area. It is a remote area, and it's also bordering Nevada, the state of Nevada, and Utah. So you have a combination of two law enforcement agencies, you know, who are not on the same page. But we are going to have her come on, and she's going to talk to us about what's going on in the search with her son. His boots, who you heard her talk about, if you go over to find Dylan Rounds on Facebook, there's a Facebook group. I'm going to link that down below here in the description. He was particular about his boots. He only wore one pair of boots. He would wear them until they were worn out and holes in them, and then he would buy the exact same pair of boots and use them again. A lot of things are coming into play here. The law enforcement agency allowed her and her husband to take his vehicle and drive it 200 miles back home, which to me is, you know, a big forensics no-no. And we're going to have Ed Wallace join us. Ed, I sent you the link. So if you want to check, I sent it by email. I sent the link to you because I didn't know if you were available. I just did this last spur of the moment. But just so you guys know, we have already have Twila Cisco, who's here in the chat. I've already have Twila communicating with the mom, Candus Cooley. Candus and Twila are going to be communicating about drone searching and any way that Equusearch can lend a helping hand through third parties. I know it's in a very remote area, and I'm not sure if Texas Equusearch would handle it, or, you know, if the Ohio branch would be able to help out. But we are communicating already with Dylan's mom, and she's going to join us tomorrow night. She's going to be busy doing interviews tonight. She's going to be on a couple of other YouTube channels, which the more the merrier. The more channels and the more people that she could speak to, the better chance she has of getting the word out there about her son. But the East Idaho News interview with her and Nate Eaton is really good. I know Josh is probably searching for it. It's on YouTube. Josh, if you could search for that and then just grab that and play that for the audience, I think it would be great if we could just play maybe through 2 or 3 minutes clip from the beginning when she starts talking and telling Nate a little bit about the about her son and how it all went down. But essentially, in a nutshell, the morning of Saturday, May 28th, that's Memorial Day weekend, his grandmother got a phone call from Dylan, and that was the last communication they received from him. And he said he expressed an urgency for wanting to get his seed and his pig, which was in the back of his truck, into a shed or into some type of shelter so it didn't get rained on and ruined. He wanted to get it in the ground and get it planted and get the crop going. And it's planting season there. And he wanted to get the crop going. And at that point, that was the last communication that they had with her. So yeah, we're going to start it from the beginning when Nate starts asking her some basic questions, because she really tells, she gives a great interview here because she tells everything clear and concise. So Josh is trying to cue it up to the points of where she starts speaking about her son and his disappearance. But I encourage you guys, because I'll link this interview down below in the description. I encourage you guys to go over to eastidahonews.com, where Nate Eaton, he covers these cases with such respect and with such great questioning. He gives a great overview on this case. I don't know if Josh has it queued up and ready to go. We could play it, and we could just play a couple of minutes of it. I'm not going to play it in its entirety, but I will link it down below in the description. So if you guys want to go check it out, I want to say a special thank you to the moderators, the replay viewers, and all of the folks who are here. Karina, yes, he is 19 years young, but he was operating that farm since he's 16 years old. And Elko County, Nevada, and Box Elder in Utah, which is really Lucin, Utah, is where the farm is. Very remote area, and there's a lot of transients. There's a lot of homeless people and things of that nature in that area, and there's 2 people of concern to the family. And we'll let his mom talk to you guys about her concerns tomorrow night. She's going to talk to you about 2 folks, 2 homeless guys who worked on the farm. One of them in particular worked for the grandfather, and then Dylan took the farm over, and he was still working, and they were thinking that they weren't too happy with taking orders and directions from a 19-year-old. These are grown homeless men who are just transients out there. The way she described it to me, they were homeless people that were working for him. And this is where, some of the shadiness and some of the oddities come in this case. So strongly that the police and investigators should be looking into these transient and homeless folks who are in the area. They should all be brought in and interviewed and interrogated. And according to his mom, none of that was done in this case. But we are going to wait, and we're going to hear from her. Josh, if you could roll that, and I think Ed Wallace is just joining us.
Story here.
Yes.
We've got a 19-year-old handsome young man who was raised in eastern Idaho, the Twin Falls area, kind of back and forth, both areas. And he was last heard from about 2 weeks ago in Utah. Lucin, is that his
Yeah,
name?
well, that's where his farm is. We got a phone call, but we don't know if he was there.
Okay, so why don't we go back to the beginning when he first disappeared? Were you in touch with him before then?
Yeah, so I spoke with him on Thursday, and his dad, Justin, spoke with him Thursday. And his grandmother spoke with him Saturday morning, May 28th. And he said he couldn't talk because he had to get his grain truck in the shed because he had seed in it and he was planting, so he couldn't get his seed wet.
So he's got a farm there.
Yes.
And where is Lucin?
So if Lucin's just on the other side of the Great Salt Lake,
Okay.
I guess it'd be the best way to explain it to people. So it's on the Nevada border of the state, by Park Valley and that.
Okay, so close to the Nevada border. How long has he been farming there?
So this will be his third season.
Third season. So he's lived there a while.
Yeah, so he goes, he doesn't live there full time. He goes to his dad's, Justin's, in Eastern Idaho. He comes to my house in Hazelton. But in the summer, he's pretty much down there because he's farming.
Okay.
But in the winter, he's back and forth everywhere else.
So had he just recently gone back for the season?
Yeah, he'd been on the Wine Cup Gamble doing some custom work, and on another farm in Independence Valley doing some work, and then he was finishing up his farm.
I see. So he speaks with a family member on the 28th of May.
Correct.
And that's the last contact anybody's had with him.
Correct.
Did he say anything unusual?
No, just said he had to get his grain truck in because it was raining.
That was it.
That's it.
So when did you realize something wasn't right?
So his grandmother sent some of the people out there she knew to go check on him because she hadn't heard back from him. And then we kind of put it together on Monday that nobody had spoken to him because Dylan, you would go 2 or 3 days without hearing from him. That's not uncommon. But he was always in contact with either Justin or myself or his grandmother or his friend JD. He was always in contact with someone. So it took, a day and a half to put together that he'd been in contact with no one.
Which was unusual.
Yes.
So Monday comes around and grandma asks people to go check on him at the farm.
So grandma asked Sunday for people to go check on him
Sunday.
at the farm. Monday is when we all went down and called search and rescue and the police out.
What did you find at the farm?
So when search and rescue arrived, it was approximately between 4 and 5. And within the first hour and a half, and we didn't initially release this, they found his boots. And so from where his grain truck was parked, his boots were about 100 yards south behind a pile of dirt, just casually tossed out. And that's our frustration. Right there, it should have been foul play.
Did he have another pair of boots he could have been
No,
wearing?
and that is the thing with Dylan. He is very particular about his boots. He wears a pair, and it's always the same. When they're worn out, he goes and he buys the exact same boots. He's been that way since he was 3. I have old boots of Dylan's as decoration in my house, and I would have to search on Amazon to find the same exact color, the same exact pair when one wore out. So it's not a recent habit. It's it's his pattern. He's always been that way.
So he wears the same pair everywhere.
Yes.
And you found them behind a pile of dirt.
Yes. And then we were since told by detectives that there was a spot of blood on the boots and they were being sent to the lab. And this was on Wednesday or Thursday. But
after that Saturday.
So the boots were found Monday. Then we were told this. Then we found out from detectives the boots had not been sent to the lab. And this was on Saturday when they came back out, that they were being held in case the cadaver dogs needed them, which cadaver dogs do not need a scent. They search for human remains. So the boots just didn't get sent in.
Was there anything else suspicious?
So his pickup, when we got looking around, so we were frantic at first. So we went in, we tossed his camper looking for his keys. Couldn't find his keys, his key fob. So Justin broke out the back window. Go through his pickup, try to see what we can find. Wasn't until a couple days later, and mind you not, through all this, the detectives are not making this a crime scene. They're not blocking this off. So all the people out searching, everybody out there, they're around Dylan's pickup, they're around his camper, they're touching everything. There's no tracks. So in Lucin that weekend, it was raining, and you're in the middle of a desert, and tracks are everywhere when it rains. Dylan's pickup has been pressure washed. And we didn't catch it in the first couple of days because we were just frantic. We weren't even thinking about it. But then we had some people from Utah come forward, and they were cavers, and they were out there that weekend. And she called me, and she gave me a bunch of great information, pictures about the weather, what the landscape looked like with the puddles. And when we pulled in Monday, we left tracks. We still had tracks. It was still that wet.
Josh, can you pause this for a second?
There is no track that it moved for weeks. We know it had, but there's no tracks. There's no mud on the tires. There's no mud on the rims. But one place they missed was the wheel wells. So the wheel wells are full of mud, like it had been driven in the rain, and we have videos of it. But the tires, the pickup, there's no, you should have mud on the side of it. There's nothing. It's been cleaned.
All right, so I stopped that there. Let me add Ed Wallace in. He's home. Josh, if you can, just pause that. Ed Wallace, thank you for joining. How are you, brother?
Good. How are you doing, Ron?
Yeah, good. So I emailed you about this case last night. I know it was kind of late. I know that truck that I just showed right there, that has to have you like just seething right now. They actually released that truck to the family without processing it. That is Dylan's truck, and he was the last known person to use it.
Yeah, I mean, the truck, the boots should have been processed for DNA to see who potentially could have been touching the boots, besides Dylan. The truck should not have been released to the family. The truck should have been examined, fingerprints, DNA, hair and fibers. If there was evidence that the truck was washed, residue or power wash or whatever, that should have been documented. And the wheel wells containing the mud, they should have taken samples of the mud to have the samples analyzed. And maybe they, in addition to the mud, there could be pollen, there could be other materials that are embedded there, insects that could help them locate where that particular vehicle had driven through to obtain that mud, because the mud could be specific to a certain region in that area. It's just, like I said,
and then could we talk a little bit about the ECM, the electronic computer module on board on a new truck like that? They allowed that family to drive it, according to the mom, 225 miles.
Yeah, well, they could have gone into the hard drive, download the information from in there, and see how the vehicle was being driven. Was it being driven erratically? Was it speeding? Was it, and also the GPS, the collision avoidance system, was it activated? Did any of these things happen? And they could have tracked the movements of the vehicle. And the phone too, for that matter. They did ping the phone. It's obvious that they said that. So right. You would ping the phone, and in relationship to the vehicle, what's the relationship of the vehicle and the phone? Were they together at that location? It seems to me that the law enforcement, time and time again, in these smaller jurisdictions, do this, where they don't treat missing person cases as nefarious, until it's too late.
And we unfortunately saw that in the Suzanne Morphew case.
Mm-hmm.
Fatal errors happened early on in the case, where they took the bike down from the ravine and hand walked it up to the street and let Barry Morphew and other people touch it. So it was just a whole host of ridiculousness. But at the end of the day, we're going to hear from his mom, and she's going to tell us in no uncertain terms how she feels about some of the things, like being told that there was blood on her son's boot and that they wanted a cadaver dog to smell the blood. That doesn't make any sense at all.
A tracking dog, yes, not a cadaver dog. The blood should have been tested to see whose it was, and how it got there. What kind of farming does Dylan do? What does he plant?
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure on all of that, but we're going to get into that with her tomorrow night. I'm hoping that you're available for this one. We're going to try to get her on when she can, because she's searching during the day. There was a YouTube channel, and I want to make mention of it because they did a phenomenal job. I never heard of these guys before, but let me just grab it. I had it queued up here. Where is it? Of course, I can't find it now. But if somebody knows, it was a YouTube channel with about 2 million subscribers. A couple of bearded guys. Shoot, why can't I thought I had it queued up here, but I don't. They took their own helicopter and went out to that farm. There it is. Thank you, Josh. So let's see. Let me just look at that channel. I can't see the name of it. Anybody see it there? Because I'm on my phone, so it's really teeny. So yeah, so these are the guys who went out there, and they did an unbelievable job. I watched the video. Thank you, Tammy. HeavyDSparks. They cover true crime. I've never heard of them before, but I want to just tip my cap and give a big kudos to these guys. They took a whirlybird and went out there. There was military operations that are going on where they're actually dropping live munitions in that area, and they got approval from the U.S. government. to do these searches. So this is the channel. I'm going to link them down below. Yeah, let that little bit play there, Josh. I'm sure we won't get killed for this. But this is them on scene.
And
They
search the
flew
area. This is basically
in a
kind of the
helicopter.
terrain we're going to be searching. It's kind of like lake bed. It's kind of like just like this is a little bit higher than the Bonneville Salt Flats, and then you've got these huge mountain ranges that come up out of it. So I think
So that's a look
ranch
at the
and farm that
terrain.
we're going to was on the lake bed part. So hopefully we don't have to fly too up in the mountains as far as.
Yeah, so that's a look at their YouTube channel. These guys went out and flew their helicopter and did an hour worth of grid searches. Ed, I'm going to share that with you because I didn't get a chance to share that with you. You got to check them out.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
kudos to those guys. They came armed to the tilt, and they said that they are not, these guys that like to tote guns around or whatever. But that's how sketchy that area is where they flew into, because they flew their helicopter right at the site where this farm is. They met with the mom. They met with the father, not the biological father. She's remarried. They met with the mother and her current husband, and they did an hour-long search for him with no good results. They didn't find him. They didn't find any evidence of him, but they did find another human who was died out in the
desert.
The desert. Thank you, Ed.
Yeah.
So they found another human that had died in the desert as a result of the hour searching that they did for Dylan.
And
so kudos.
They did this voluntarily.
Yes,
Because
they
that
did.
to get with the price of aviation fuel, kudos to them, bro. I mean this is a big time operation and expensive, and they did it pro bono. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah, I mean they have over 2 million subscribers on their channel, and they get millions and millions. The video that they did that we just showed that little clip from, they just uploaded it the other day, and it's 1 million views already. So they are a monetized YouTube channel. They make money from YouTube, and this is them giving back to a mom who's really not grieving but distraught right now. She's upset because she doesn't know what happened to her son. And this is the kind of goodness that's out there, not only on YouTube, but in the United States. You look at Dave Rader. I got on the phone with him. I talked to Twila. Dave Rader and Twila are already in communication with Dylan's mom, with Candus, and they're talking about sending drone pilots out there to help them out as well. So we'll see what happens with this case, but we're going to have his mom live with us tomorrow night, probably between 8 and 9 o'clock, and we're going to talk about the case. There's so many moving parts, but these transient men who have been around, and she talks about it in the Nate Eaton interview. She says it there, and she says it on this other guy's, this Heavy D guy. She says when police and people come around, all of a sudden they come out of the woodwork, all these transient homeless people who live in the desert, and they come around to try to hear what's being talked about. So something nefarious, something not right happened to her son, and she feels wholeheartedly that that they definitely could have something to do with it. She doesn't know for sure, but she feels that the detectives and the sheriff's office from not only Nevada but also in Utah should be dragging these people in and having a conversation with them. And she says that they haven't as of yet, and that's what's making her even more livid about this.
Let me ask you something. Was the grain still in the truck?
I don't have the particulars. I don't want to comment on it because I don't know. I don't know if he got a chance to plant it or if it was still in the truck inside the it was a grain truck, so it was a separate truck that he was trying to get inside a shed. So it was not that nice that's his personal vehicle that he uses. So I don't think that I don't think the grain was in that vehicle. It was in a grain truck. So
in any event, that vehicle should not have been turned over to the family. It should have been hauled into the crime lab. Sorry, I got my friend here, and
let's go full screen. There she is. There's Kara.
Say hello, Kara.
That's Ed's new puppy. Wow, she's gotten so big. I can't believe it.
That's it.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow. Yeah. So it was definitely seed in the truck, and we're aware of that. And like I said, this is by no way a deep dive into this case. We're just going over the background. We're going over a background of it. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Candus Cooley. That's Dylan's mom, Dylan Round's mom. So he's 19 years old. I am going to post in the comment section a link to the Find Dylan Round's website. And there's YouTube, Facebook groups on it. I want you guys to all go over and check out those Facebook groups and things of that nature. But yeah, this is a 16-year-old kid that basically vanished after a phone call. They have cell phone pings. They found his boots on a little bit off of the farm, a little bit away. So there's a lot of things going on. And Ed, I could see you have a lot of things going on your end.
Yeah, she's wrestling with me. She was nice and calm just up until I went online, but she's 3 months old now, and she's a little over 25 pounds, and she's adorable and a handful.
Yeah, she's going crazy. She's going crazy. Hey, Josh, could you, is there any way you could queue up a little bit more of the Nate Eaton interview? And I want to just play a little bit more before we end this, because the mom goes into, after showing the truck, a little bit more of some of the details. So, Josh, if you could grab that and put that up, I'd like to let everybody see that. But yeah, Mary Welton says, where did it go? This is so sad. Thank you guys for covering this. Hey, and listen, I want to circle back and say thank you to everybody who has sent in suggestions to cover this case, because, you know, I wouldn't know about it if you guys didn't send us the information. So kudos to everybody who has sent in to Crime Time with DutyRon requests to cover this case. And again, you know, his mom reached out to me because we are the Equusearch Midwest law enforcement liaison. So she reached out because she wanted to see if there was a possibility that Equusearch could lend a hand searching for her son. And how sad is that you have a 19-year-old son who's working hard, who's a good, you know, citizen. You know, he had firearms there, Ed. I don't even know. I don't even have clarity if they were able to retrieve those firearms. So, you know, it was a question that I didn't ask the mom last night on the phone conversation we had, because I just wanted to hear what she had to say. So I just let her talk.
Yeah, I watched it. You know, you sent it to me about 11 o'clock at night, but I did watch it. And yeah, it tugs at your heartstrings. And, you know, he's still, you know, what is it? A teenager, right?
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, so it's interesting lifestyle. You know.
Yeah, it's definitely different, but in that area, it's somewhat normal. But for me, you know, I have questions in my own mind. You know, living like that and in a dangerous area. Yes, he's a young man. He's 19 years old. I still consider him a boy, but he's out there on a farm. He's living in a trailer, a small little camper, actually, not a trailer. So he's living in a camper. He's off the grid. He did have firearms there for protection. But, you know, you're in the middle of nowhere. You can't call 911 and get a cop to come there immediately. So let's listen to the rest of this. This is after the truck, after she showed the truck, Josh, the walk around. I want to see the rest of that.
So it's like someone drove it somewhere and then parked it back where it was and cleaned it spotless on the outside.
And the other thing is so Sunday we said, you know, we're going to move Dylan's pickup out. If, you know, at this point, the big search and rescue party had been out there that we organized. That pickup's nothing. It's probably had over 200 people touch it. They're not going to pull anything off of it at this point because they didn't do the job in the first place. So I got in the pickup back to camp to Justin. So
200 people.
Dylan's friend could drive it home.
She got me.
The seat was scooted up to the point I didn't even have to move it to drive it. Now I'm 4'11". Dylan's 5'11", and he sits back far. And every time I've ever gotten Dylan's pickup, you know, you can't reach the pedals. I can't. So I thought, well, maybe it's just the way the seat moves when you turn the pickup off, right? So I made a mark in the dust, turned it on, turned it off, and to where the seat went back, and it's not where it was at. So it wasn't just because somebody got out of the pickup and let it go back to a setting. It was placed there. His pickup was also in 4 low. So he had a new transmission put in his pickup this winter, and the transfer case got messed up, and his four-wheel drive does not work. And Dylan knows this, his grandfather knows it, his father knows it, I know it. He's cussed it. The pickup was in 4-low. So whoever was driving the pickup thought they were putting it in 4-wheel drive, but the 4-wheel drive don't work.
Does he have friends out there? Are there neighbors? I mean, or is this a remote?
It's remote, and Dylan, he has the 2 gentlemen that have helped him out their farm, and we're in constant contact with them. But no, I mean, there's nothing out there. Dylan would come our direction, his dad's direction, so that he could, socialize, or he'd go into the bar in Montello, and we'd made some friends of people that were in Montello, but they never came out to him. He always went in. I mean, there's no reason to go out there. There's nothing out there.
What do his 2 workers say? I mean, are they people of interest?
These are the 2 guys.
Really, that's the problem, is until the police start actually questioning, really questioning people, we can't say anything, because we have nothing. Nobody's got a story locked into place. Nobody, you question a person and then it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, you said this, but the evidence says this. So they haven't done any of that.
What about his phone or wallet?
No wallet, no phone. The officer who initially I talked to on Monday, he did get a ping on his phone. It was at 3:41 Saturday and off the tower. So it just, the last tower ping, and it's like a 15.4 mile radius is where that ping could have been. Now, his farm is in the ping. So our first assumption was he took his grain truck, he parked it, he didn't have a ride, and he took off walking back to his camper, to his pickup, which is 5 miles. But then we found the boots. Obviously, that's not the case, because he wouldn't go 100 yards one direction and throw his boots to walk 5 miles in the other direction.
Likely in rainy weather.
Yeah.
Because it was raining.
Yes. And the boots, even the officers, when we found the boots, when search and rescue found the boots, and
so, yeah, she goes on to talk about search and rescue and all the things. Ed, did you get bit?
I got scratched.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, she got you.
I was bleeding. Yeah. See, it's all full of blood.
Oh, man. What's your thoughts on the vehicle being in 4-wheel drive, and he knows that the mom said he cussed his transmission because it was not working right. So that tells us
that's again more reason why that vehicle should have been towed. The position of the seat, that's crucial. She's 4'11", he's 5'11", and it was moved. So the measurements as to where the seat was moved. So in order to move it, it's either manual or electronic, and either way, somebody has to touch either an electronic button or a bar to adjust the seat's position, and that could have been swabbed for DNA and looked at it for fingerprints. Then the 4-wheel drive. So, only people who know him and the vehicle would know that it wasn't working. And so that's another indication that somebody that didn't know the vehicle may have been driving the vehicle in addition to the seat position.
Terrible.
Yeah,
Terrible.
I mean, so all this forensic evidence is here that's screaming out foul play, and it's just being treated as, okay, he's an adult and he's missing, and we don't know if he's, if anything nefarious happens. So we're just going to treat it as, he's an adult and he just went on a walkabout, as they say down under.
Right. And now they're seeing that, oh, this family is doing the job that we should have been doing, and they're uncovering things that we should have uncovered, and they're all going, ooh, oops. Now, Moonlight View sends in a question and says, why no protocol from law enforcement?
I can't answer for why that jurisdiction didn't treat this more seriously.
Yeah.
Like I said it in the post before I came on live. You treat everything to the highest standard of a crime, and if it turns out not to be a crime, no harm, no foul. But if you treat it as, in this case and in many other cases, it's, the person, just wanted to get off the grid for a little bit and took off on their own. and it turns out later they're a victim of a homicide, well, now you lost all that crucial evidence, as in this case where the truck was not examined properly.
And that's the travesty of justice right there, because all of this stuff is very important. It's time sensitive. It's, it could be tainted by touch, and we see how much touch has happened here. She said 200 people could have had their hands on that truck. I mean, that doesn't even sound humanly possible, but I got to believe the mom. I got to believe her.
Is this a commune farm? What kind of farm is this?
It looks like it's in the middle of nowhere. I saw an overhead of it. We're going to go and look at that video when she comes on. It is in the middle of nowhere, Ed. It's in the middle of nowhere. So there's a lot of questions and a lot of unanswered questions, and there's a lot of things that are questionable that happened. But with this case, it's mirroring a lot of sloppy police work, and it seems like in these remote areas, albeit it might be limited budget, limited resources, limited personnel, things of that nature. But I wouldn't want a crime happening to me out in the middle of these small remote areas, because, you can get away with murder. I hate to say it, but it sounds like, this is something the family's working overtime, and they're getting help from outside. Twila just messaged me and said that Equusearch is going to be working this case.
Yeah.
So that's good news.
Good deal. And Ron, it's not just smaller jurisdictions. I've been to some major cities where I've conducted training, and when I saw their practices and protocols and procedures, it left me scratching my head. And I'm like, this is a major city, and I'm seeing this, and so I was shocked. But that said, the smaller jurisdictions don't have the manpower, the money, the training, the experience. The most important thing of all is experience. If you don't do these things often enough, then you're never going to have the experience to know if you're doing something right or you're doing something wrong. And
Agreed.
there's no reason to reinvent the wheel with the protocols and procedures. They're out there, and they're standards in law enforcement. So you should be following these standards, no matter how big or how small your department is. You follow the standards.
Right. Rocky Pastorino is here. He was out on the search for Naomi Iron. He was out there in Fernley, Nevada with Casey and all of them, and he saw some of the shoddy police work that was done there, and they tried to backtrack and pull it in and reel it in. But again, Ed, these are frustrating things to talk about. But let's end this here, because tomorrow night we're gonna have Dylan's mom come on with us. Candus Cooley is going to join us probably between 8 and 9. Will you be available, Ed, tomorrow night?
Yeah, tomorrow is Tuesday. Yeah, I'm available.
Yes. All right, great. All right, guys. So do me a favor. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Ed is a crime scene expert. He's a DNA expert. He knows about evidence collection, everything and anything that has to do with evidence collection. Ed is on it. So if you're not yet subscribed, follow us on all social media, all one word, DutyRon, and make sure that you share this video, give it a thumbs up, like it. The more people that view it, the more people will have an understanding of what's going on. And we will be live tomorrow night. I'll send you guys a little bit more information. But just as a tidbit, so you guys know, the Collins family who was murdered by Gonzalo Lopez, their funeral services were on Saturday. I have taken the liberty of uploading that funeral service for you guys, and I'm going to upload it as a video, not as a live stream, but I'm going to upload it onto the channel. It's going to appear just as an upload whenever I decide to do it, which will probably be between now and tomorrow. Go over and watch that video. Give it hearts. Give it prayers. That family is suffering. The mother and father of those children are now childless. They don't have any children. They've all been killed by Gonzalo Lopez, and including their nephew, their cousin, the kids' cousins, the mother and father's nephew murdered. So it's a horrible, horrible situation. I want everybody to keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And also keep Dylan and his mom in your thoughts and prayers, and hopefully we can find out what happened to him sooner than later. So I'm happy that Equusearch is on. I'm happy that Ed joined me here today. So as I always like to end these things, God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially all victims of crime and their families. Today's prayer and special positive vibes go out to Dylan Rounds and his entire family. We send them strength and positive vibes. Ed, you got something?
Yeah. Stay safe. Stay prepared. Watch your six, folks. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Thank you, Ed.